Student, let us continue the types of pre-stressing. So external, first thing, external or internal pre-stressing. Second, pre-tensioning and post-tensioning. Third, linear subtle pre-stressing. Fourth, full, limited or partial pre-stressing. Fifth, uniaxial, biaxial or multi-axial pre-stressing. And sixth, the nature of concrete steel interface. That means bonded tendon pre-stressing and unbonded tendon pre-stressing. So these are the different classification and types of pre-stressing. So let us see one by one. External or internal pre-stressing. So external pre-stressing means the tendons is located outside of the concrete elements. Okay. See, mostly this type of pre-stressing constructed method of construction is constructed in bridge girders. Okay. So when the pre-stressing is achieved by elements located outside the concrete, okay, it is called external pre-stressing. Okay, so the elements located outside the concrete, not inside. Okay, so the tendons can lie outside the member, for example, eye girder or walls, or inside the hollow space of the box girder. So this is the box girder. This technique is adopted in bridges and strengthening of buildings. Suppose we want to strengthen the already constructed buildings using this pre-stressing method, means this external pre-stressing method is adopted. In the following figure, the box cutter of the bridge is pre-stressed with the tendons that lie outside the concrete. You can see here, this is the box cutter, this type of trapezoidal shape of the box cutter. So in this inside box girder, like this, inside the box girder, so these are all the pre-stressing wires is called tendons. These tendons are placed outside the members. Okay, so this type of external pre-stressing widely used in bridge construction. Okay, next, internal pre-stressing. When the pre-stressing is achieved by elements located inside the concrete. So maximum 90% of the pre-stressed concrete, this method only they are using. Like our RCC structure, we are embedded steel in the concrete with the sufficient cover we are provided. After that, enough steel concrete bond is achieved. So same like here also, you can see here, this is the rectangular type beam. So there will be a duct is provided in this figure. There will be a duct is provided. This duct is mean for post tensioned concrete. So after the placement of the duct, the concrete is filled with a rectangular beam. After achieved sufficient strength of the concrete, the pre-stressing technique is adopted. Okay, so in this duct, pre-stressing steels are laid and tensioned. Okay, placed under tensioned. So it is fully covered with the concrete members. That means the steel members are inside the concrete members. Okay, so it is called internal pre-stressing. So commonly by embedded, it is called internal pre-stressing. Most of the application of pre-stressing are initial pre-stressing only. As I told, 90% of the pre-stressing techniques use this method only, internal pre-stressing. In the following figure, concrete will be cast around the ducts for placing the tendons. Okay, so these pipes are called ducts. Inside the ducts, steel reinforcement are there. Okay, so next, pre-tensioning or post-tensioning. So pre-tension name itself having answer. Pre-tensioning means before concrete, the steel wires are tensioned. Post-tensioning means after concrete strength. Okay, suppose if the concrete strength M40 grade, mixed design M40 grade means after achieving the strength of 40 MPa, then the steel wires are tensioned. So it is called post tensioning. The most common, most important classification and is based on the sequence of casting concrete and paying tension to the tendons only. So pre-tensioning, the tension is applied to the tendons before casting the concrete. Okay, so before casting the concrete, the pre-compression is transmitted from steel to concrete through bonded over the transmission length near the ends. The following figure shows the manufacture of pre-tensioned electric poles. Okay, so pre-tension where it is supplied means for smaller members. Okay, smaller members as well as uniform members. Suppose if you take electric poles, railway sleepers, so that dimensions are constant, it will not vary. Okay, also these elements are smaller members. So compared to bridge girders, the bridge girders are lengthy member, but concrete sleeper or electric poles, so these are smaller members. You can see here. So in this picture, it's clearly shown the electric poles. These are all very smaller members. So this type of members constructed using the pre-tension technique. Okay. So what are the stages of pre-tensioning? Okay, first one is anchoring of tendons against the end abutments. So you can see here, this is the abutments. Okay, this is the pre-stressed plant. This is the end abutments. Okay. So next, placing of jacks. So jacks is nothing but this one. Okay, you can see here, this is the jack. So through this jack only pre-stressing force is applied on the tendon. Applying tension to the tendon. Suppose we design, so the tendon should have the force of 500 kilonewton means, so we have to apply the 500 kilonewton force into the tendons. Okay. Next, after tensioning the tendons, concrete is casted for the element. Okay. Then cutting of the tendon. So after concrete achieved sufficient strength, at there are two ends of the abutment. So in the two ends, the rods are cutted. Okay. So now this diagram will explain clearly. So this is the pre-stressing bed. Okay, pre-stressing bed. This is the tendons. The black color is the tendons. So it anchor into the anchoring devices. So it is called anchorages. Okay, it's called anchorages. Okay, initially it is tensioned to the sufficient force. Okay, so the force is depends upon the design. So some elements it required 500 kilonewton, some elements required 1000 kilonewton. Okay, it is depends upon the design. So after giving sufficient force, that means tension force to the tendons. Okay, it kept up to tension till concrete attain sufficient strength. Okay, so after tension, concrete is poured in the steel, in the mold. Okay, so after that it allow into for curing purpose. So when concrete is achieved a sufficient strength, after that the tendons are cutted here. You can see in the pictures. So the tendons are cutted here. Okay, at this nearby the two abutments. So now what happened? A compressive force. Initially it is tension. When cut means like our rubber band. Okay, so initially it stretch the rubber band. So tension force. If you cut the 2 points means what happened? It's subjected to its original position. So initially tension. If we cut that means it comes to original position. So it is a pre-compression. Okay, so what happened? Automatically the members bend upwards. You can see in this second picture. In the second picture, it is clearly mentioned. So this is initially using the jack and anchorage devices. It is initially stretched. That means tension force is acting. So the blue color is the end abutments, two end abutments. Consider this is the railway sleeper. Okay. So initially it is in tension condition. After the concrete is poured. So you can see here there is a empty space before concreting. Before concreting only we have to give the tension force. This is after concreting. Still the rods in subjected to tension. So after that the rods are cutted here. So due to that tension force, if rods are cutted means the tension force is subjected to compression force. Why it is compression is acting? Because the steel rods are bound to regain its original shape like our rubber band. Okay, so this is called transferring of pre-stress. Okay, this is the stages of pre-tensioning. So this diagram is very, very important. Okay. Next come to post tensioning. Post tensioning, it is quite opposite to the pre tensioning. So initially we have to provide one duct. Okay. So this empty space is there now. This is called a duct. So in this duct only we have to insert the steel wires. Okay. So initially we have to provide only duct. After that concrete is casted in that duct. Okay. So after concrete attained sufficient strength, that means characteristic compressive strength, using this jack, the steel rods are inserted and tensioned. Okay. So after that, after giving sufficient force in the tension wires, finally it is cutted. Okay, finally it is cutted. So pre-compression force is acted. So the entire beam is subjected to only tension force. Okay, so the tension is applied to the tendons located in a duct after hardening of the concrete. So pre-tension means before casting of the concrete, pouring of the concrete, but post-tension means after hardening of the concrete. For that only the name pre-tension, post-tension. The pre-compression is transmitted from steel to concrete by anchorage devices at the end blocks. Okay, so these two diagrams, okay, this diagram and next diagram, okay, this diagram, these two diagrams are very, very, very important diagrams. Okay, so this is the definite question for your university exam. So this picture shows the for pre-tension. Next step, stages of post-tensioning. Okay, what are the stages? First, casting of concrete. So initially we have to cast the concrete. Then placement of tendons. Okay, placement of the anchorage block and jack. Next, applying tension to the tendons. Okay, so when tendons are placed means after concrete is achieved enough strength. Okay, next, seating of wedges, cutting the tendons. Okay, applying tension to the tendons, seating of the wedges, cutting the tendons. Okay, so seating of wedges means we have to provide sufficient wedges in that one. After that we have to grout in the duct. We have to fill the cement mortar into the duct for the sufficient bonding of the concrete and steel. Okay, now you can see here, this is the real picture. See the I type beam. It is the end anchorages, end zone of the, this is the end zone of the beam. You can see here a holes is provided. In that hole is called a duct. This is the duct pipe. Okay, duct pipes are inserted. So after casting, the steel rods, high tension wires, tendons are inserted. After that, using the anchorage and the jack, it will tension. Okay, you can see this girder, a trapezoidal shaped girder, bridge girder. You can see this made up of post tension technique only. See, most of the bridges constructed using post tension only. And one more thing, pre-tensions are carried out in the prefabricated plant, but post tensions are fabricated in as it is in the site only. It is cast in situ concrete, but why it is cast into, why pre-tension is fabricated in the plant means, so prefabricated pre-tensioned members are very smaller in members. Sorry, that means very less in size, is very less, either length, breadth, depth. It is very less. If you take concrete sleeper or poles, these are all very less in length and weight. Okay, less in dimension, and also uniform size. If you take sleeper, concrete sleeper, uniform size. But if you take girders, bridge girder, mean it is huge in length. You can see here, huge in length and weight also more. So if you constructed in, sorry, if you fabricated in precast plant means it is very difficult to transport. Okay, huge transportation facilities needed. To avoid this post-tension members like beams, girders, all are casted in the site only. After that, using crane, it is shifted and placed in the sufficient place. That is a major difference. Here also you can see the length of the beam, and this is did using the post-tension technique. After that, it is shifted to the required place using crane. So next, linear or circular precessing. So the name itself having answer. Linear means straight tendons. Circular means we have to provide in circular shape. So this classification based on the shape of the member. Okay. So when the pre-stressed members are straight or flat, suppose if you take concrete poles or concrete sleeper, it is a straight member. So for that purpose, we are using linear pre-stressing. Okay. So when the pre-stressed members are straight or flat, in the direction of the pre-stressing, the pre-stressing is called linear pre-stressing. Okay, for example, pre-stressing of beams, smaller beams, piles, poles, slabs, and also railway sleepers. Okay, so these are all constructed using linear pre-stressing method. The profile of the pre-stressing tendons may be curved. The following figure shows linearly pre-stressed railway sleepers. You can see here railway sleepers. Okay, so curved in the sense not in plan, in its linear shape. Okay, not in plan. You can see here railway sleepers yard. So much of sleepers casted and put it into queue. After that, they are served in the railways. Okay, you can see here railway sleepers. These are all uniform in size, so that it is casted in the prefabricated plan. As well as linear pre-stressing technique is adopted because it is a straight member only. Okay, not curved member. Circular pre-stressing. When the pre-stressed members are curved in the direction of pre-stressing, the pre-stressing is called circular pre-stressing. For example, circumferential pre-stressing water tanks, silos, pipes, chimneys, and other similar structures. The following figure shows the containment structure for a nuclear reactor, which is circularly pre-stressed. You can see here. This type of reactors used in nuclear power plant. So it is constructed using circular pre-stressing method. The tendons are not in straight line. It is in a curved line. If you see in top view, along with the concrete wall, that means circular shape. The tendons also placed under pre-stress in the circular shape. Okay, and also circular pipes also. So a pipe carries high pressure of water or high pressure of any other liquids, means this circular pre-stressing techniques is used. So you can see here the size of the pipe. So this is one man working. See that size of the, compared to this man height, see the size of the pipe. Okay, so if you constructed using pre-stress techniques, means it withstand high pressure, more pressure, because all the portion is subjected to compression. Next, full, limited, and partial pre-stressing. Based on the amount of pre-stressing force, three types of pre-stressings are defined. Full pre-stressing, when the level of pre-stressing is such that no tensile stress is allowed. So as we already know, pre-stressed concrete, there is no tensile stress. So that type is called full pre-stressing. Okay. So in concrete under service loads, it is called full pre-stressing. This is called a type 1 structure. Okay, as per Indian Standards Code IS 134. So what is my type 1 structure? Type 1 structure is nothing but full pre-stressing technique we are adopting, and no tensile stresses are allowed. Next, limited pre-stressing. Limited means when the level of pre-stressing is such that tensile stresses under service loads is within the cracking stress of the concrete. That means a small amount of cracking is allowed, okay, within the permissible limit as mentioned in the IS 1343. Okay, a little bit of tensile force is allowed. So it is called a limited precessing. So this is called a type 2 structure. Okay. Next, partial precessing. When the level of precessing is such that under tensile stresses due to service load, the crack width is within the allowable limit. Here, crack is permitted. So it is called partial precessing. Partial precessing, nothing but only 50% only we are giving precessing. So this partial precessing techniques mainly used for unimportant structures. Unimportant structures. Okay. So next, uniaxial, biaxial, and multi-axial precessing. What is this? As the name suggests, the classification based on the direction of the precessing a member. So it is based on the direction. So uniaxial means when the precessing tendons are parallel to one axis. Okay. Suppose in the slab, the precessing tendons are running only one direction. It's called uniaxial. Uni means only one direction. Okay. For example, longitudinal precessing beams, example, railway sleepers. So you can see in railway sleepers, the precessing tendons are placed in only one direction. That means X direction. Next, biaxial. When there are precessing tendons parallel to two axes, is called a biaxial precessing. Example in slabs. So if you see in pre-stressed concrete slabs, the pre-stressing tendons are placed in two directions, two mutually perpendicular direction. Okay. Next, multi-axial. When the pre-stressing tendons are parallel to more than two axes. If two axes means it is biaxial. If more than two axes means multi-axial pre-stressing. For example, pre-stressing of domes. You know about domes. Domes is a curved structure, doubly curved structure. Okay. So the tendons are placed in all the directions. Okay, all the four directions. That is called multi-axial pieces. You can see here, this is the concrete, pre-stressed concrete. There are two directions tendons are placed. Okay, you can see here, these are all tendons. Okay, so using the duct, inside the duct, the tendons are placed. And these are all normal reinforced. RCC purpose we are using na steel reinforcement. So that is the normal reinforced um, steel bars. Okay, so these are all pre-stressed tendons. You can see here in two direction it is placed. After that they are concreting. It is called a biaxial pre-stressing technique. Okay. Next, nature of concrete steel interface. So bonded tendons. When there is adequate bond between the pre-stressing tendon and concrete, it is called a bonded tendon. Okay. So pre-tension and grouted post-tension tendons are bonded. Bonded means suppose a high tensile wire is there. Okay. So after in case of pre-tensioned concrete, initially the tendons are tension. After that, we are placing the concrete. So enough bond between pre-tensioned wires and concrete is achieved, like our RCC. What we did in RCC, before concreting, we are placing the reinforcement, after that concreting. So a bond between steel and concrete is achieved. Same like here also bonded tendon. Unbonded tendon means when there is no bond between pre-stressing tendons in concrete and is called unbonded tendons. Okay. When grout is not applied after post-tensioning, the tendon is called unbonded tendons. So the best example for unbonded tendons, as we seen external precessing, now you can see here external precessing. You can see here external precessing. Here there is no concrete, so these are all called unbonded tendons. Okay. Okay. So next we have to move to important topic. Why high strength concrete is required and also high strength steel is required for pre-stressing. Okay. So simple thing. So pre-stressing, we are applying pre-stressing force externally. So the concrete will withstand high compression force as well as tension force. Okay. So the only solution is to provide high strength concrete. That means concrete grade more than M40. Okay. So let us see the each point. So if the concrete is not strong enough, it can be cracked or filed when it's stretched by tendons. When it's stretched by tendons, stretched means at the time of we are applying tensile force. Moreover, high strength concrete is less subjected to shrinkage cracks. What do you mean by shrinkage? Shrinkage is nothing but reduction in volume. So you can easily see after casting 2 days or 3 days after, you can see here, see the shrinkage of the concrete somewhat in terms of somewhat it will be, there will be a reduction is there. So it is called shrinkage. Okay, so it has a higher modulus of elasticity. Due to the higher strength, the modulus of Young's modulus also increases. Okay, and smaller creep strength. Okay, what do you mean by creep? Creep is nothing but a deflection under sustained loading. Okay, it is a one form of deflection only. Next, this is the first important point. So shrinkage and creep is very less, and also it should strong in high tension. Okay, next, since large pre-stressing forces, okay, so here pre-stressing force is applied to the members by tendons, high bearing stresses are developed at the end by anchoraging devices. So since from the abutment we are applying the pre-stressing force, so in the post tension members, okay, so at the end, okay, at the end anchor, that is called, that means end extreme point of the beam is called anchorage zone. Okay, so in the zone there will be a high bearing stress will be developed, so that concrete should withstand high bearing stress. Okay, next, bursting stresses liable to at the ends of the beam and cannot be satisfactorily estimated by low strength concrete. Okay, so due to the high forces we are applying at the end of the beam, there will be a burst, concrete will burst, concrete will crack easily. Okay, for that purpose, if you apply low strength concrete, mean definitely concrete will burst. Burst is nothing but it's nothing but sudden failure, sudden crack happen in the end. Okay, so when the stresses transferred to the concrete is to take place by bond action, definitely concrete steel bond action required. Okay, the concrete should have high bond stress which can be offered by high strength concrete only. So high bond strength, compressive strength, high Young's modulus, high tensile strength, so everything is achieved by high strength concrete only. That means concrete grade M40 or more than M40 grade. Okay, so for less strength concrete, it will not achieve, definitely it will fail during pre-stressing techniques. Okay, so next, why high strength steel is required? So as we already told in first class, so we are using normal RCC purpose, we are using only FE 250 or FE 415, FE 500 like that only. But in case of pre-stressed concrete, we are using 1000 MPa, 1000 Newton per mm square, 2000 Newton per mm square wires, tensile strength wires are using. Why? What is this much? Because of due to the high tensile forces we are applying through hydraulic jack. Okay, the steel rod should withstand that much of forces. That is the reason. Okay, so let us see in depth. The mild steel used in ordinary reinforced concrete has a yield point of 200 Newton per mm square to 300 Newton per mm, definitely. If such a steel is used and if even it is subjected to stress, say 200 Newton per mm square at the stage of tensioning, we find that due to creep and shrinkage of concrete, the net tensile stress left over will be extremely low. Okay, so due to some losses, say shrinkage, creep losses, and other losses also there. So if these losses will happen, means this 200, 300 Newton per mm square is completely lost. Okay, so some amount of pre-stressing stress, pre-stressing force completely lost. So if complete loss means definitely it will not take any load, sudden failure will occur. So for that purpose, in the design of pre-stressed concrete members, the estimated loss of pre-stress due to shrinkage of concrete and creep of concrete and steel is at the order nearly 200 Newton per mm square. But high tension steel has an ultimate strength of 2100 Newton per mm square. And if initially say 1000 Newton per mm square, that means at a yield value. The 2100 is ultimate value and 1000 is at yield value. Okay, so there will still be larger stresses in the reinforcement after making a deduction for the loss of pre-stress. Okay, so in case of 1000 Newton per mm square, 150 or 200 Newton per mm square will last definitely. Okay, there will be losses will occurs in all the, either you can take pre-tension member or post-tension member. Initially we are giving 1000 Newton per mm, sorry, 1000 kilonewton, means finally it is not 1000 Newton or 1000 kilonewton. After some period, definitely there will be some 100 kilonewton, 200 kilonewton, there will be losses will there. Okay, that losses and all we have to study in the second unit. Okay, so these are all the reasons high strength concrete and high strength steels are used. Okay, students, so this is about your first unit. I hope all of you understand the first unit. So now we successfully completed the first unit. Okay, any doubts means you can ask now, because first unit is very important, is the fundamental only, there is no problem. And also only 3 important questions only in first unit. First one is classification and the types of pre-stressing. Second one is general principle of pre-tensioning and post-tensioning. So you have to draw the figure, based on the figure you have to explain. Third question is why high strength concrete and high strength steel is required for pre-stressing. Only this 3 question is the big question. You study only 3 question means definitely 2 question will come. Okay, because there is no option in the first unit. Okay, so now I will stop the class. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Thank you very much, students.